Okay, now we're going to show you in Illustrator how we actually letter directly onto our pages. Now, with this part of it, it's going to take into account a couple of things. Number one, that the page is ready, it's finished, we've taken it, we've inked it, we've taken it into Photoshop, cleaned it up, added color or tones to it, whatever, but it should be at a point where artistically it is complete. And we're now going to take it in and do the final stage, which is lettering. Now for this aspect of it, I'm going to be using some tools. I'm going to be using layers, and layers in Illustrator work pretty similar to how they work in Photoshop, where I can put different aspects of the image on layers. And I should be bringing it in on an 8.5 by 11 page, and if I've scanned it in proportionately, it will be in a 6 by 9 square. What I can do is I can take my square shape tool, and if I click on a layer, I can actually then create a 6 by 9 inch box as a guideline, and then I can actually start bringing in my dialogue balloons and start typesetting my dialogue, so that when I'm done, I'll have a final comic book page. So real quickly, I'll first bring in my artwork, and then I'll actually start bringing in any sound effects or dialogue balloons and start plugging them all in so that it looks like a final comic book page. But everything is on different layers so that I can adjust them however I want to move them around if I want on those particular layers. So let's move him to the side for a second. And you'll see this kind of light blue square. What this light blue square is, it's a 6 by 9 square that I'm using as a guideline for that when I bring in my artwork, I'll know that it's got to fit pretty close to that square, and it will fit. It may be a little off horizontally or vertically, but it should be pretty tight in there. To create this guideline, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my square tool. You remember that from creating dialogue balloons. If I click on the page, it's going to ask me for a size of a box that I want to create. In this particular case, I know it's 6 by 9, so I'm going to change it so that it's 6 by 9. And there's my 6 by 9 box. Now, I may not want this black border to print with my comic, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a guideline, meaning I will turn it into this blue that will not print no matter what. It's non-reproducible. So, with my box selected, I'm going to go to View, Guides. I'm going to select Make Guides, and now it's a guideline like anything else, but I'm going to want to tape down the guideline so that it doesn't move. In other words, if I click on it, see how it's highlighted? It means I can move it wherever I want it to go. I may not necessarily want it to move, so I'm going to tape it down, which means lock my guides. So I just go back to View, Guides, Lock Guides, and now I can't select those guides, so they won't move. So I'm going to bring my artwork in at this point. And so say this is my artwork. In Adobe, Adobe has a click and drag feature, meaning that I can click on the artwork right here and drag it in to my actual final page. And here it is, my finished artwork. Now, this works whether it's PC or Mac, so it doesn't really matter. It should have a quick click and drag feature. However, you can also place the artwork by just going to File, Place, and then scrolling until you find where the artwork is. And there's the artwork, and I hit place, and it brings it in that way too. Now notice how my guideline is here, but my image is bigger than my guideline. That's fine, we can fix that. You'll notice the little handlebars up here. These allow me to adjust the image so that I can make it fit within my guidelines. And I really want it to fit in there pretty close so that when it prints, I'm not printing it too big that some of it cuts off when I actually send it to print. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want it pretty close. So you can tweak it a little bit, and it'll still be proportionate and look like your actual final page. Like so. So we have our image in here, and it's set up the way we want. Notice how I have it on its own layer, layer 1. I can rename these layers if I want by double-clicking on it, and I could name this whatever I want it to be. It could be artwork, whatever I want to call it. But what I also want you to notice is notice the color next to it. It means that when I select it, the color coding tells me what layer that I'm actually on. So in this particular case, the bounding box is a really, really dark blue. When I start laying other effects of type on it, if I click on them, see how this is highlighted now in red? Notice that the color is red. So this tells me when I'm dealing with multiple layers in Illustrator what layer I'm on by just highlighting it, clicking it, its highlight color is color coordinated with the actual layer that it's on. Now, I've seen this done a lot of different ways, and I find that the layer method is probably the best way to do it. So let me turn on all of our layers here. You actually want to kind of put them all on different layers. Reason being is that allows you to reposition the boxes just by selecting on the layer. That if I wanted to move this box, I can just click and move them. I can hold my text and group it all together, and I can reposition these wherever I want them to go. If you want your text in your dialog balloons to move all as one component, you got to group the objects. So it means you have to select them all and group them, and then now I can click on it and move it all at one time. So that's why we work on it on layers, because then that allows me to then click and I can move and reposition something if I want to reposition it. Like so. To whatever my heart's desire. Now, most of this stuff is stuff that we've already covered in the other demos. I can take something from a template if I want, and I can copy and paste it, edit copy and then edit paste, or I can simply drag it into my new document, and whatever layer I'm highlighted is what layer it's going to actually show up on. If I want to create a new layer, this little icon right here next to the trash can in the layers palette, and you can find the layer palette by going under Windows, Layers, and if it has a check by it, that means it's already open. If it doesn't have a check by it, it means it isn't opened. But you can create a new layer. It'll create a new corresponding color, and you select that layer, and now this item is on layer 6. So if I were to hide all these guys except for layer 6, there's layer 6's item right there. and I just copy and pasted it from the templates that we created here. So you could create your templates and copy and paste them onto a layer in your actual page. You can also delete a layer if you don't want a layer by clicking on the trash can, and it'll delete the layer. So essentially at this point what we want to start doing is plugging in everything that we've already learned, meaning we have a nice dialogue font. Some words are emphasized over others. And that we have it set to an 8-point font, and it's centered in alignment so that it fits nicely. And then I've adjusted the word balloon so that they fit nicely on it. I've also used custom kind of fonts to help create personality for sound effects. I also used custom word balloons and custom fonts to create personality for dialogues of the character. And what's more is that I can put these all on layers and reposition them however I want them to go so that they're covering up negative space in my artwork but not covering up something of importance or value. Once you have everything put together like this, you can save your file, and you'd really want to save it as a PDF. So I'll go to File, Save As, and I want to name it whatever page number it is on the book. In this particular instance, for this book, it was page 13, so I would save it as page 13. And under Format, I'm going to select Adobe PDF. Should change it to so that you can see PDF. And then I'll save it, and then it'll save my file as a PDF file. PDF files print the quickest, and most printers can print from a PDF file and have no problems with it. But you can take this and then open it up in Photoshop and save it as a JPEG if you want to post it up on the web. So here's page 3. This is my PDF that I can then drag it and open it up in Photoshop. Photoshop's going to ask me what I want to do with it. Do I still want to call it page 13? Yes. Do I still want to keep its size? Yes. But since it's for the web, it's only got to be 72 dots per inch. And there it is, one complete page. That from here I can save it as a JPEG. Let's put this on the desktop real quick. And it'll export it as a JPEG that I can then upload onto a website, like so. So that's pretty much how we put it all together using Illustrator, applying all the different word balloons and the rules of type for comic books. So now at this point you can start using Illustrator if you like to start lettering your book.